response and your outlook and your perspective is quite wise. And as I look around, because we're in your space, as I look around, I see books,
Mm-hmm.
right? Uh, and I'm not going to distill this question down to books. It could be much more expansive than that. But how do you fill your cup in terms of learning, in terms of wisdom?
Mm-hmm.
What are you consuming?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I will say this: there are books here, but I'm not spending a lot of time reading all the books. I do love reading, and it is something actually this year that I am prioritizing, thanks to this guy. So on a daily basis, I'm cutting out time to definitely, read, and I'm enjoying it. But aside from reading, it goes back to traveling. I am really one. I love asking why.
Yeah.
I love meeting new people and having open dialogue to understand, what are some practices maybe that they do within their daily structures, right?
Yeah.
To help them yield to the success that they have or either that they're looking to acquire. And then also too, going back to hope, right? How do you keep hope? How do you keep faith in what you are trying to chase after? And so that is a wealth of knowledge. I believe books are great, but I think, our initial instinct is dialogue, is right. So it's going back to that. Like, and my family is Southern. We're from South Carolina. So it's nothing like sitting down on a Sunday, right? Or having a barbecue and doing exactly that. So I just try to bring that to wherever I'm going, whether I'm in Italy or whether I'm in New York or LA. I'm going to sit down and have a conversation with them and break bread, right? The cuisine may change, but it's always going to be the same foundation, which is dialogue. So, and I will, of course, have to say, speaking to my cabinets, and my ecosystem of wisdom to understand things that I don't understand and ask questions. And lastly, I gotta say shout out to TD Jakes. He's definitely someone that's always on in my place. My neighbors, I'm sure they'd be like, "Dang, again, another one." But pulling from some goats that are out there, definitely TD Jakes, and I'm watching them old Oprah Winfrey shows as well to educate myself for people that have experienced life, right? Not only for where I'm trying to go, but also from places that I've come from as well. I would have to add that slavery and being sharecroppers is not far from my family. Like my great aunts worked on the field. My grandmother was the first generation that did not work on the field, and she could have, but she actually didn't like it. Like, she couldn't take it. So she was like, "No, Ma, I'm not gonna do that." So learning that history of where my family has come from has definitely equipped me to be like, wow.
Oh yeah. And even just thinking about all the things that generations before have gone through, it's kind of thinking like, oh shoot, my car didn't start. It's like, walk.
Facts.
But it's little things like that I don't know if it kind of just like stays with us, whether it's stories that are passed down or in our DNA, but it's kind of like we have this resilience that
absolutely. And that's where the hope comes in. I don't know why hope keeps coming up in this, but like that is where it comes in, because it's like there's no way, right, that I'm not able to be consistent and steward well over what I have when I have so much more than what my ancestors did, and they did a hell of a job, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the power of perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have a some watching this might think a unique perspective, right? But it's different because you're taking something that historically is not the greatest time in history for blacks on a global scale, black people on a global scale, and you pulled out something positive for yourself.
Yeah.
So that's not necessarily common. So
oh yeah, and even just kind of telling stories like this, we're sitting down having these conversations, hopefully kind of sharing a different story or a different side of like black people in America, black men in America. It's having these conversations on a larger scale. So hopefully letting others know, hey, how do I become a PhD? How do I become a psychiatrist? how do I go into consulting for fashion and have multifaceted business?
Mm-hmm.
It's things like that. So definitely appreciate like you speaking it with us today.